Hello friends, how are you today? This is the video about the two big waves of light that came across on the Schumann. I am doing much better, so thank you for people who have asked. And also thank you for all the comments. It was really interesting to read through what people thought about what was going on. If you could like the video, subscribe to the channel, and then share the video if it resonates with you, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much for doing that. Here we are as I am recording the video on the Space Observing System site. I want to talk about the images that came up in the chart. These two interesting areas of the chart here and the other wave. And then after this set of incidences come, the energy was just very spiky, a slight bit reminiscent of the technological effect, but not really. It didn't really have the periodicity that usually has. I don't know, maybe in the background, possibly. See that back there? That's really interesting looking. So these are the days that we were missing data. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you can see there was partial data on day 1, 4, and 6. A lot of people made suggestions about what was possibly going on. The energy was definitely intense. I wish I could say something about it, but if you want to know more about my opinion about this, I'm going to link my 5-minute video where I went through that down below. Let's take a look at the numbers behind the chart. Now, in terms of the geomagnetics, it was pretty calm. There was one pull down here in the solar flares, and that occurred right about here at 11 a.m. So right when this interesting shapes were going on. We have had this before. There may be some seasonality to it. That's what it's said on this TSIS website in the past. But basically, when the solar flares pull in like this, and I think in the fall of 2019, I have some videos on it, how I see it is that we can look at the sun as representing the human energy field, the soul-connected human energy field, and the physical body within the field. But it's all energy, even the physical body. So when the sun flares pull in like this, how I see it is that it invites us to pull deeper within ourselves. It's an invitation to look within, and we can get stimulated by this. So it can also be triggering. Now let's look at the frequencies. There was a drop off with the first wave, and then you did have this drop here right at the beginning of the second, but then all the frequencies rose back up. And it was pretty flattish in here in between, so in general. So I thought that was interesting. In general, the ranges of the frequencies have narrowed with all those waves we had in May. The frequencies really expanded, and now they've tightened up just a little bit. And by that, what I mean is the numbers on the left and right for the frequency ranges. That's what I'm referring to. The amplitudes were really quite robust, especially for the second wave. And the reason that I say that is you can see here and look at where the peaks were between 59 and 74 for white, but look at then yellow, 61 to 49. And then you've got red, 53 to 42. And I'm focused here on the second wave, 44 to 35. And the reason why I'm quoting two numbers is because there was 2 spikes, so there was a range. But what I'm trying to say is that here's the white, here's the yellow. Look how close 61 and 74 are. And then 53 to 61 is also pretty close. And 44 to 53 is pretty close. Plus, you don't often see the green go all the way up to 44. Or the red at 53, that's pretty high. This was strong across the board. It's affecting, it feels like, from the previous chart, a narrower range of frequencies, but is potent within those ranges. The last thing is the quality, which is the clearness of this energy, the clearness of its nature, I guess is how I like to say it, of what it is. But the qualities have been generally low with some random spikes across the frequencies. So here you've got the white, this was the lowest spike at 12, but then you've got yellow at 18, red at 19, and green here at 14. So generally, now 2 videos ago, I did a really in-depth video with a table of contents, and I guess I'll link that below too, but there's so much information in it on different topics. So I encourage you to go back and look at that if you haven't seen it. What I talked about with the qualities was that because the qualities, as far as we know, I'm referring to the data we have been able to see, because it was low, basically what I feel like from a human perspective is that when our quality is low, it's like there's less strength and clearness of our true nature. Okay, we have access to our true nature, of course, but what it's done for me is it's allowed me to try new things along the spectrum of what is in my talents, my nature, my interest, going out farther in the range. And that has brought some really interesting things into my life, but it's also allowed me to have experiences I wouldn't normally have, so that when the going deeper effect happened, it was informed by those broader experiences. So I think that, isn't it cool how this all fits together? I just love that. I love to communicate an understanding of energy and how it works. Because what I have found in my life is by having this understanding, it's allowed me to take more control, to make more conscious decisions, also trigger points, whether those are intellectual, mental, whether those are emotional. Where I'm not as in control is where I want it to be different, okay, where I want something to be different and I haven't been willing to accept the true nature of what is. That goes back to these qualities, I'm just thinking about this with the low qualities across the board and the resonances. It can kind of create a bit of an adventure because we can't see things as clearly, even that are sort of outside ourselves. If the qualities are lower, they're not really energetically projecting so much the truth of what they are themselves. And so it can take time to kind of wander through the jungle of what's going on for yourself emotionally or mentally, or thinking through the process. But it's a worthwhile way to spend one's time is what I've found, because it has improved my life to look more closely at these things. This is one of the things that I look at on the charts that I haven't talked about. There's a flow of the energy of the charts, and I do look at that. All right, now this is kind of the flow of this. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, deeply down, up. See that? It's like waves on an ocean. Like if you could think of waves coming into the shore. All right, I'm just going to do that again. Didn't that feel kind of good? It felt kind of good to me to go through that. Can you see the ripples in the chart? The ripples in the energy right here. It goes down, up, peaking higher here, down, deeper, up, down, very deep, coming up, down, and on. Isn't that awesome? Isn't it calming in a way? In the background, the energy has a flow to it. It's very kind of feels good and it's beautiful. Now, let's look at the chart we were just looking at. I want to show you that the rhythm of the energy in this chart is not like that at all. It's very choppy. If I was to compare it to the previous chart and talk about an ocean or water, this chart would be like there's white caps. When the storm comes in, I get to see the bay here, the San Francisco Bay, and you can't help but see it frequently around here between the bridges and all this stuff. But what I've noticed is that when there's a storm coming in, it's like the water gets so choppy and then it turns different colors. It'll have different patches in the water of color. And the color will also be like not pleasant. It might be like a dark green, greenish. I think of it as more of like a sickly color. It feels denser, thicker energy. That's how the look of it is, and in patches. It doesn't feel good. Despite the fact that these are beautiful waves of light. You got the white resonance just pouring out here. But I want to show you how the energy feels here. You're going along, kind of, there's some kind of a interruption, like something comes across the water here. I'm comparing these waves with the water. I think that it's an obvious comparison. Okay, then you get a flattening out of the wave, and suddenly, just this whole energy comes through, like just riding across the top of the environment, and we don't even know now. We can't even see what's going on in the background. But we kind of like, if I was to look at, there might be a wave here, it might be up, and then I don't know what happens here. Maybe it's flat, and then suddenly it kind of plunges deep up, and then what in the heck am I meeting here? It just feels like chaotic. Okay, and then I dive down again where it gets a little blue, but suddenly this force of energy comes through, okay, for several hours, and then I get a little break, and then just this huge stream comes through, and then I'm trying to skate across whatever this is. So do you see how it does not have anything near the feel of the energy as previous, okay, the previous chart from June 11th. What I wanted to say is that this image here, to me, felt like flames. And at first when it came through, I was like here, it almost looks like a person walking through the energy to the left. So it's like, that's usually a shadow figure, but then I felt this divine presence here. Okay, it felt very feminine here. Now there's a lot of red and yellow, and there's some various faces in here, and then there's a face here. Two people sent me this face with the pointed ear. So Spiralia sent this image to me, and then Namastar had also pinged me on it. So thanks, you guys, that was awesome. And I actually saw it too. It was pretty cool to see that in the chart. Peeking out, okay, behind this. And Namastar had said she felt like it was a Lyrian energy, which is kind of like a cat energy. I usually see them as lions or golden lions. What I felt about this right here was it was like the flame of the Holy Spirit in the air. Seeing the flame of the Holy Spirit burn through the air is a spiritual experience, and it is on the path of the spiritual seeker to experience that. And if you do experience it, it's pretty incredible. I have seen the flames in the air. It precedes an awakening. It precedes an awakening, and that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. But to have this kind of spiritual experience fills one with awe, but then immediately can plunge a person into challenges. And the reason is it's to, I think, it tests us on things like I was talking about before, these trigger points. It gives us the opportunity, and that's the beautiful thing about interacting across the board in general with life and people. You see the flames down here, down there, and it turns into the spiky energy, turns into this spikiness. I don't know, I feel like some of this is natural. Maybe way behind there could be the tick effect. Okay, so I want to go back to this and just tell you that I think that the energies are choppy. I think there could be some challenges. The flame of the Holy Spirit has just like flown through the air and the earth, in the earth's atmosphere. And you have like a shape of a bridge here. Maybe we have these little fun helpers. Whatever your spiritual guidance is, your support system can support you through this. But I just have this feeling like we're in for some choppy energy. That's what I'm reading here on the chart. And I don't know how that's going to translate into the external world. I thought that this image of the sky and this interesting cloud were really fitting with how the energies felt to me on the chart. I'm going to go into that in a minute. It was interesting because I'll show you the main image. It feels stormy to me. It's in the clouds, so it's above the earth. There's a strange looking cloud flying here. Maybe it even looks like an advanced technology, I don't know. Is it going to go out into the light? Is it going to come out from hiding? Is it part of the storm? Is it helpful? Is it not? We just don't know. So I just thought that that was kind of fitting with what the energies felt like on the chart. And this circular opening in the light here kind of reminds me of like a portal entrance and the possibilities that come when we open up to something new in our lives.